All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you're coming from to watch today's Brood War cast. I am your host, BisuDagger, and I'll probably be around for the next hour or so, just going directly into Protoss versus Zerg. There's no other matchup we're going to be watching today, so if you absolutely hate Protoss and Zerg and you're just a Terran versus Terran horde, then you know what? You're not going to find that here on this cast. So last week I was sick. Let me go ahead and turn off this intro music here. That was kind of an interesting one. Find that at like freemusicsomething.org. And so last week I was sick. It was disgusting. It was terrible. I felt awful. There was no way I was going to get on the microphone and cast. But you know what? I got healthy before the ASL games, so that was good. Yeah. Flash for the Win casted with me, and I thought that he did a stellar job. We are just trying to get in the groove of he and I becoming a new casting pair. So if you guys like him, you know, give him a ton of feedback. You can do it in the thread that I link on Team Liquid often. Totally cool if you do that. But yeah, I can't wait for the round of 4 Africa Star League. And I thought, you know, actually Blind Roar was the one who gave me the replay, so I do want to give him the credit. But casting a round of 4 participant Shuttle in this PvZ, it's a perfect opportunity to see him in a matchup that you're not going to see even if he advances into the finals. Zerg has been eliminated, so you're just not going to see Zerg anymore. So let's see how good Shuttle does against Miso. And, you know, Miso's probably not a name that's going to attract a lot of viewers. You're thinking, okay, the only time I've heard of miso is in an Asian restaurant. It goes with a soup. That's about it. And or maybe you've seen Austin Powers and you think there's some sort of perverted joke in there. But no, miso is like in rank. You know, you have your S-class players on a Kespa team. You have your A-class players that come out and get pretty good results, kind of float around that 48 to 52% win rate in matchups. And miso, he's kind of that B-teamer. Like, you'll see him just kind of get thrown out into the mix every once in a while. That would be like his level of play. Still a pretty solid Zerg player. You know, he does really well on the ladder. It's not like, you know, Shuttle is going to go and run from miso because, hey, you're not worth my time, noob. No, he's a player that he makes a great practice partner, can help you conceptualize builds. And so that's why I like this matchup. I think it's going to be fun. And it's actually, it's going to be observed by Hero, which is where we get the rep from, which allows me to go in and we have a direct rep here that we will be able to cast from. So that is going to be really cool. Let me throw this up on the screen here. And now obviously look at my horde of replays here. Boxer versus Nagul, Flash reps, KCM, Man versus Machine, TLC, TLS. Oh man, I've got the best reps in here. This is like my short list too. So we're going to go right into here. And we're going to have 3 casts today. This is all going to be in this PvZ folder, as you saw me go into it. And we're going to be watching one with Shuttle versus miso, then a Bisu versus Hyuk, and then we're going to close this out old school. So yeah, real old here, going to be Savior and more of his better form back when he was a great ZVP player before the match fixing scandal occurred. And here's the thing, that Savior is kind of taboo everywhere. It's not just like a Team Liquid thing. He really is a taboo player to talk about and give attention to. But, you know, when you talk about someone who really made a huge impact on the scene, you have to bring him into the mix. So knowing that Bisu versus Savior has such a huge history together, if time allows it, because I don't know how long these replays are, we're going to finish with the Bisu versus Savior cast. It came highly recommended anyway. So we've got to do it. So yeah, I welcome you guys into this cast. Let me know if the audio on the game, my microphone needs to get fixed. As always, that's a constant struggle, because when I do a cast like this, it means that I am having to adjust any settings that I would have to set up for the ASL cast. And then that's always a pain in the ass to get, you know, set up too. So let me make sure that the stream looks good. Yep, okay, cool. Yeah, we're going to get right into this game. I can see the chat here too on the right, guys, and I love your participation. You know, PvZ is actually one of the more familiar matchups I would have, if any. Definitely because I was a Protoss player. When I tried to do melee for like 10 minutes, I was like, hey, you know what? I think I could be really good at StarCraft. And then, you know, I just got completely demolished by everybody. Actually, I guess in the past 5 years, if you had to ask me though, I probably have a winning record, but I pick very finely the players that I'm going to play against. And so that way we're pretty evenly matched. And anybody who's not like a Team Liquid member, I've definitely crushed. Any of my friends, they really don't understand the whole point of macro here. And yeah, we're kind of just seeing a standard gate opening here for Shuttle. So Movie popularized it. I bring it up a lot. That Movie was this huge player in the SOSPA scene in the few years following Kespa leaving. And it was all about opening with this gateway play. Getting this gateway out first allows you to get not only a Zealot out to harass, which, you know, we're going to see that Shuttle is already scouting up here at the top left. And so he's going to be able to identify where the opponent is. But you also can get to your tech quicker. Yes, you're less safe in a sense that you can't cannon up and do a full wall if you want to defend yourself against Zerglings. And if you are looking here, that it looks like it was a 9-pull build. And so that lets you be way more secure as a Zerg player too when you get those Zerglings out. You deal with pretty much anything. I think Bisu's the one who forced the meta for 9-pull. Basically because most Zerg players weren't able to deal with his harassment in the early game if they didn't have the Zerglings out. Plus, you find that there are quite a few holes that you can find in the Protoss arsenal if they don't take care of everything correctly. So there is a Zealot out here, and how quickly is this Zealot going to go up across the map and decide to go in for harassment? Probably not very fast, only because we've already got Lings out for Miso. So Miso doing a great job chasing this probe out first of all. You know, they don't have Ling speed yet, so they're not going to be able to actually chase down the probe. I mean, they're basically stuck in like some pathing line here. And, oh, look at that. Skirts around with the Lings. You know, just long enough to keep an eye on the Lings, knowing where they're going to go. And it looks like Miso might actually go ahead and get Zerglings inside of this base. So this is the risk that you take by going for gate first, is if your opponent rolled 9-pull, then they're going to have the Lings out to get inside. And it's going to come down to really good control. So we're talking Shuttle here, who is a semifinals player in the ASL. So in my opinion, it's safe for us to start saying he's one of the Protoss players right now with top control. He played really well. He did a great game against Effort, who, while Effort did try and cheese Shuttle out of his group, you know, in the mid-game was unable to recover, and Shuttle played some great PvZ there. So I think he's really starting to turn the corner. Shuttle and Best both are really the two players that have started to really shine in the Zerg matchup, which you wouldn't typically see anybody but maybe Bisu and Stork doing well versus Zergs. So the Nexus is going to be coming down. The Forge does follow, and you know what? The Forge has to happen because that +1 attack upgrade on Zealots is so important. And so it's just a nice completion of the wall too, to be able to, you know, cover up as many points as possible. So just thin units are going to be getting through the front here. That means Zealots and Probes only. I believe this may be the only path to that a Zealot could be able to get through. So one Photon Cannon is going to make it safe. There's not this risk of Hydralisks. And really smart here for Miso to move the Overlord a little bit further away from the cannon distance here. You can kind of see he's checking. Okay, am I far enough away? This is the only anti-air unit that I'm going to have to deal with. So this early gateway, constant Zealot production. And so now we're seeing that it's already up to 6. A 7th Zealot's going to be coming out. Meanwhile, Miso knows he's spending a lot of minerals on Zealots, and it's going to be tough for him at some point, but he's going to take these 3 bases anyway and rely on Sunkens and Zerglings in the early game to try and defend. Meanwhile, the tech has been later. You know, this Nexus follow-up here, the probe workers being built really quickly here over, you know, trying to get up past the Cybernetics core and up to that Corsair tech. Yep, so that's a good amount of zealots there attacking in. But look at how many lings came into the mix here for Miso. So Miso did a great job. He had that overlord here. He saw how many zealots came out, and he made sure that he saved the right amount of larvae to be able to deal with this. Now, given that there's 3 zealots left, a couple drones do go down, but I still gotta say that this defense has been overall pretty good. You gotta count it out correctly though. Here's the issue. He made probably 6 more lings than he needed to, and he could have checked and made sure no more zealots are coming in for reinforcements, but maybe he thought he could have lost track of how many zealots were out on the map. But the lings right now are running to look for open space and gonna be active scouts at this point. Check every single expansion on the map. Make sure no proxies exist. No shenanigans. That's what the Zerglings are all about right now, is trying to scout that information out. And now we're looking here at the third base. It looks like a decent amount of drones. At the front, another hatchery is coming up. So we've got 5 hatcheries so far. A standard spire with the +1 carapace. +1 carapace, really, really important. Allows your overlords to survive longer against corsairs. I believe maybe it takes an extra hit for the scourge to die against a corsair too. So it's pretty much standard to get that +1. Yes, this is live. Welcome to this cast. We are watching the PvZ between Bisu and Shuttle. I welcome you. I am BisuDagger, and we are looking at this very closely. So +1 attack is just the casting is live. So +1 attack is coming down for these corsairs. Really important here. And I love when a Protoss player is so bold to drop another Stargate, but it's actually, excuse me, not necessary for a second Stargate to be built. You can get quite a bit out of just 1 Stargate's worth of corsairs. Their build time is pretty ridiculous. I mean, when you look at it, you got another corsair about to come out. And thank you. I love and appreciate that you guys are watching this. So the appreciation is mutual here. And look at that, the corsair actually getting out of the way of that scourge. You know, it's kind of just counting numbers. It doesn't matter if it dies. And always, 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 if you're a Zerg player, your initial 2 scourge need to go and scout out. So look at these. These zealots tried to poke in here. They're not going to get in because this is a really nice wall. 2 sunkens behind these 3 buildings. And honestly, if the drones need to get pulled, they're going to clog this area really well. So this is where Shuttle decides to go. And where are you, the weakest Miso? I know you have a 3rd base, but he doesn't have speed. The drones pulled perfectly here to block off this area. I'm not sure, maybe a zealot could get through at the front there too. But it's going to be really difficult regardless. A lot of units would die needlessly. And that's something that we've seen as kind of plaguing Protoss players in live games. What we saw in the ASL, what we saw in the KSL, and definitely in the Advanced Star League, is that Protoss players crumble when they lose their early zealots. They're not getting the harassment done that they need to. And I think that Zergs are just finding themselves in better and better situations to defend themselves against zealots. So yeah, you can see that they run in here. Now they have speed. They should also have +1 attack at this point. So look at this. We're at 9 minutes into the game. He has several corsairs. He has zealots with speed and +1. Still sitting on 2 bases though. It's really important to note that, you know, Protoss can go a decent amount of time off 2 bases because it's really more important that they tech up than they massively expand. You know, contrary to like a PvP where it's all about just getting more nexuses than your opponent's command centers. Oh, look at those Scourge coming in. Some really nice shots off there. Not very many hits. And Miso is spending a ton of gas to get these Scourge out on the map to try and clear out these Corsairs. And, yep, they're going to get chased out here. Let's look back in at what Shuttle is doing here. So +2 is already on the way. I think that's ambitious for Shuttle to go for the +2. You know, it's a long upgrade. It takes a considerable amount of gas to go for that upgrade. And when you think about it, what does he have in his pocket? You know, Storm Tech, if not done, needs to actually be researched at this point. Because we're seeing that Miso's already getting up to a fourth expansion here. So up at these 4 bases, that's really tough to deal with. Instead, because Shuttle skips Storm, he's going for this weird timing attack where it's all about Dragoons and this Archon at the front. And he must have scouted out the fact that there was a muta switch. And this is a prime example of where a muta switch can go bad. Because the Corsairs, they were cleared out. They were killed off. And I think Shuttle may have gotten a hint that, yeah, okay, so you're going to use all those Scourge to clear up my Corsairs. That's probably signifying a muta switch here. Well, the mutas, although they're going to get some counterattacking done down here at the bottom left, but they're not doing anything to stop that flood of attack at the front. The long range of the Dragoons is going to be really vicious here. So Shuttle, he's going to be able to defend, though. He's got an Archon. And literally, Archons are the greatest defenders ever. The one swipe just turns these Mutalisks into mush. It's pretty ridiculous. And he still has continued Corsair production. So I really like that Shuttle's continued to make them. Whereas we see players like Tyson who loses all his Corsairs and says, okay, that's the last time I'm making Corsair. It's not worth it. So the Protoss army can't bust. They've got the range, but still, it's a dangerous territory to try and engage in on these sunken colonies. He's going to pull back. Meanwhile, a lot of Zerglings are being built, but there's no upgrades finished for the Zerglings. 0-0, you can see that only just now +1 carapace will be completed. So we will see a really, really weak armored Zerg army that's going to have to engage in what will be a +2 army for Shuttle. And you know, it almost makes me think that Shuttle is preparing himself for a 2-base all-in style build because of the unit composition that he went for between the Dragoons and the Archons, skipping Storm, getting that +2 upgrade. These are all indications that he's really wanting to do a significant amount of damage in the early to mid game instead of thinking late game. Okay, so, you know, these Dragoons are just going ham on these units. And you know what? Do you know why you're seeing Protoss have such an easy time? There's no Lurkers. There's no range Hydras. Well, range Hydras aren't good against Dragoons. But there's no Lurkers to deal with this because of that muta switch and all the Scourge that were lost early on. Shuttle has a huge up-and-up advantage because of the lack of gas. Oh, a nice sacrifice of mutas there, right? So there's no gas here. There's no gas here. So it's literally just 2 gases versus 2 gas. And when you want to have a proficient mid-game as a Zerg player, you need 4 extractors. That's just the bottom line. He really can't go into hive tech steadily here until he has that necessary amount of gas. But he really can't spare too much. A lot of Lings just being built out to deal with this. That's all he's going to try and do is Sunkens, Lings. Oh, look at that. Lurkers finally did come out. So Lurker aspect finishes. You know, finally a mid-game transition that I agree with. These Lurkers are going to be able to deal with this as long as there is no observer vision. So Shuttle went really budget on this army. Do you know why? He didn't go for that fast robotics facility. He kind of guessed that miso was not going to get Lurkers fast, so he did not need to get observers. And so, I mean, this is a very budget mid-game build here. And he's done a considerable amount of damage. Oh my god, that hatchery going down is really, really huge. There's not many drones here. Still only relying on just the 2 gas. He's over-mining. And here's the deal. No one gets hurt more by over-mining than a Zerg player. Because the main and the natural are supposed to last almost as nearly as long as the 3rd and 4th base. And so when you see this many drones, you're thinking, oh god, you know, my economy is going to run out of minerals very, very fast at those initial 2 bases. And a +3? Are you kidding me? +3 off 2 bases. So really, Shuttle is just going to be completely relentless in this build. And so a robotics facility has to be made. As soon as Lurkers came out, he had to drop down a robotics facility because he can't win this game without observers, even if he does have superior units here. A nice little zone here of Lurkers and mixed in with these units. It's going to be easily defended, and the Zealots are just going to have to retreat. Man, I can't believe that he's already going for +3 F2 bases. This is not something you see. You know, generally you just see that Nexus come up much quicker. It's very heavy gas investment build here, and now the Nexus is coming up, and this is where Miso can thrive if he's playing on his toes. Being able to continually knock down this base is where you're going to win the game. As much as, you know, it hurts that there's all these drones at the first 2 bases, there's a lot of heavy mining here at the main and natural. And you know what? There could be a hell of a lot more probes. Obviously, Shuttle could find himself at a 60 probe limit here, where it would be doing ridiculous damage to his economy due to overmining. But I'm thinking he's floating more around 45 to 50. Kind of that sweet spot number until he is able to expand. So look at this, the Mutas. The Mutas can finally come out because all those Dragoons got killed off from the Lurkers. And Shuttle hasn't really set himself up with a good economy to rebound and re-macro from that mid-game aggression. And it's going to come down to a 6 Storm here. Look at all those probes that are getting killed off. Probes die really easily, Storms, don't forget that. And a nice pick-off on that High Templar. Shuttle's finding himself in trouble now for sure. You need a quick water break here. Okay, so yeah, these Mutas are wreaking havoc. Now you're seeing Miso make Mutas at the right time, and so Shuttle's base, obviously in some dire need of cannons and maybe an Archon like it would have been from earlier. Welcome to this cast, anybody who's just joining in. This is the first of 3 PvZs that I will be casting today, and if you want to watch more, I will be casting the ASL this Sunday. So tune in. The times have changed. Don't miss the Africa Star League. It's absolute blast. And yeah, you know, barring me being extremely sick, I do these casts every Thursday too. So please join in as much as possible. A lot of you may be here for that teaser final game that I'm going to cast today. Is Bisu versus Savior. Definitely going to be a good one. So 17 minutes into the game, and this is just kind of a disaster for Shuttle. He's got some High Templars out on the map. He is about to finish his +3 upgrade. And you know, that's where Hydralisks in the early game are really nice. Because if you get ranged Hydras, you can either snipe the Forge or you can snipe the Gateway. That's definitely a plausible build off a 5-hatch opening. You know, 6-hatch... 6-hatch can be a little bit more defendable, but of course if you pull it off perfectly like Jaedong does, then you will never survive a 6-hatch build if you're a Protoss player. But 5-hatch will allow you to get those Hydras out a little bit faster, so you can do those aggressive attacks at the front and maybe at least get a gateway out. So here is a nice concave of units here, just trying to make their own units in City to defend against this Nexus. You know what's really nice if you had a ton of minerals is to be able to get like a Reaver out. Reavers defend really well on the high ground, especially at locations where you have to run up these ramps. BisuDagger, you should broadcast for Icy Cup. I actually have done Icy Cup casts before. If you didn't know, I did almost a 12-hour cast, or maybe it was 14 hours. It was something ridiculous, but it was for a pretty big Icy Cup tournament. In 2 days, I racked up so many hours of casting. It was insane. And my Eugen, the French guy, I just absolutely love him. He's the one who usually convinces me to do these sort of Icy Cup casts that I will do every once in a while. So yeah, I've definitely paid my dues in casting for Icy Cup. I've got a neat little icon if you ever find me on there. I believe it's a jack-o'-lantern head. I need to check in on that. Lately I've been on Shield Battery, so you'll probably find me there more often. Although I've been in dev.shield battery. That's the more secret Shield Battery that gets more updates and has neater stuff than you guys even realize. So yeah, be jealous much. Okay, so let's get back into this game because we've kind of lost track. But that's okay because we allowed a Shuttle to have to find the time to expand to this third base here. And we're actually getting towards late game PvZ. Look at these Lings coming out here. They look like they are just rabid Lings going to engage down to these units. They still... Okay, finally +1 does finish up. I imagine that their Adrenal upgrades have finished too. So they are in crackling mode. The Greater Spider coming down. And where are the mutas? Okay, so that is a considerable amount of mutas here in the middle of the map. And if they turn into oh my god, if they turn into guardians, this hair, whatever's left, gonna fall out. I'm gonna go total cue ball. Oh man, this is gonna be great, guys. So a lot of dragoons down here at the bottom to try and deal with this Ling threat. You know, this is tough. Because once you get that third, shortly after, you do have to take the fourth. There's double ramps up here. Hard to defend again, which is where it would be really nice if he can mix in Reavers. Let's go ahead and do on the Reaver watch up. Sometimes my mouse, the left click button does get stuck, so I apologize if it looks like I've had a seizure every once in a while during the middle of my cast. But you know what? I got set a mouse that's kind of faulty. Blame Corsair. They wouldn't even sponsor Brood War. I did contact them, and they apologize for not donating any money. They only are accepting teammates or, like, you know, players that play StarCraft, but they will not accept casters at this time. So yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate. Yeah, Sail and Sonic did do 18-hour casts. You know, those guys are the bomb. You know, 16 hours is nothing compared to 18. Those 2 extra really just take you that mile. Although I've always wanted to do like one of those 24-hour charity casts. I mean, I think I'm completely capable of talking to myself for 24 hours, but we'll have to see. So, you know, the bases are taken here. We've got Nidus Canals at both locations. And so Miso's put himself in a pretty good spot. He's got lurkers on the high ground, kind of spread out here because he knows that Storm's going to try and pave the way up here. You're going to see how the Storms do get spread out as Shuttle is going to move his units over here. He's going to put them at the front, but that's going to be bait for these Lings. The Lings might want to try and go down and snipe. Where are the mutas at this time? We're going to have to also keep an eye on that. No, the Storm's not quite good enough here as the Zealots do get up. Oh, here they come! Here they come! Double attack! We got attack on the left. The Storm going down, but Shuttle is feeling something fierce in his pants as he has to deal with this. The Guardians moving down towards this base, and this is wreaking havoc. The air siege tanks, I call them. Air siege tanks. Massive Storm going down on these here, but still a decent spread. Meanwhile, the pavement has been laid to attack up here at the top right location. That base does go down. These players going tit for tat. Wait a second. Wait a second. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? All those Guardians, all that gas. Nom, nom, nom. Oh, man. Storm is imba. The Storm can just wreck air siege tanks, apparently. So this base is going to be brought back into establishment. That drone, baller there, goes down with its bling in hand. And so the Dragoons just carrying across here. Kill off that Shuttle, kill off that Overlord. Don't be lazy. Wow. Wow. This is the biggest mistake of the game. This is a very important Overlord. Okay, so Link's out in the middle of the map again. You know, not much action in the middle of the map. Not too much. You could say there's just kind of been bouncing back little militia battles here, but nothing significant. Oh, a suicide Dark Swarm here. I love this. So there's only like a couple of Zerglings that are actually here, but he decided to go for a Dark Swarm line to try and pick off maybe a few High Templar as he went forward, and that was just a cutesy little thing. Meanwhile, Miso, being so superb here in this game, deciding that he's going to expand down here to the bottom right. And look at that. The Observer with speed is going to detect that right away. Let's see, is there anything threatening across these bases? Oh, now we've gotten cow mode here. Okay, this is like 2 siege tanks combined together with only melee force. I guess it's like an inverted siege tank here. Cows on the field, I love them. Ultralists. Is there nothing cooler than watching late game Zerg just go ham on a Protoss player? Of course, we got to watch the Protoss player survive against it. That's where it gets really exciting here. And look at that, the random jester statue on the middle of the map here too. Has anybody determined what this is? It does look like it belongs in the court to entertain the kings. Okay, so guys, there's a massive army coming down here. +3, 1-1 on the other upgrades here too. A considerable amount of units. There's no way he's gonna hold. This isn't going to finish in time, is it? No, he's not going to finish in time. So he's going to bust up here. There's no Nidus Canal. So units are going to have to come in from behind. This is a considerable amount of forces, and they're all kind of spread apart. Meanwhile, all the units are going to be coming from the top here. The Ultralists are just going to go ham on these units. Ah, they're going to run away. They're going to run away. They hate being tased. No amount of cattle loves dealing with taser guns. Shuttle looking to just brand them into infamy here. The battle at the bridge will be told for days to come. Oh, this is huge. This is huge. Look at this. What are these Scourge coming down here for? What was that goal? Oh, the hatchery does go down too, so that's going to be eliminated. He should have a Nidus Canal in this area. I just feel like it would be very beneficial, but instead he's just going to go with a few sunken colonies. This is a pretty sizable force here. The +5 Carapace, the +2 attack, Dark Swarm on top of these units. Oh, get out of there, Dragoons. You are definitely going to be going down. This is crazy here. So massive storms at the front. Actually, a decent amount of links killed off here, but still, so many units here that can die as long as they stay under this Dark Swarm. They're going to have to keep battling backwards here. And actually incredible move back micro from Shuttle to focus down units as they left the dust cloud. So that was another strong hold there for his army. But look at all this. This blue on the map is Jadon worthy. There's so much coming down here. Dark Swarm lasts a really long time, so they can still be used. Oh, as I say that, they do end up dissipating. This one should come out, fizzle out in just a second here, as another Dark Swarm does catch a lot of Dragoons at the top. So this is really cool. If Miso can keep this army up here, he might find an opening where he can counterattack at different locations. There's only, what, a High Templar and 7 cannons at that location, 2 Archons and 5 cannons at another location. A Zerg being bold and coming up the ramp. I mean, only Zerg is a race where you can be brave enough to go up a ramp. Protoss, only when you're retreating do you try and bar it against the ramp itself here. It looks like a plague went down too. The health went down here, and this is going to be it for that army. What's gathering though? What? Oh, you got to be kidding me, guys. Oh, we've got red balls in the house. A good pair of red balls. Shuttle's had blue balls for the majority of this game. It's time that he switched it up here, and we're going to see some Dark Archons in action. What do you think he's going to do? Mind control? Yeah, double mind control. Try and get some Ultralists to join his team. That would be actually pretty cool here. Meanwhile, just a bunch of lazy Zerg units down at the bottom right. If Misu's not telling them what to do, they do nothing. Absolutely. So these Ultralists heading out on the map again. We haven't seen a Hydra if not to make a Lurker for this entire game. So this is just hilarious here. The Ultras are on a rampage here though. I wish, can we find, yeah, this guy's still alive. Oh my god, how did that evolution chamber survive? And it is an immortal evolution chamber. It's actually funny that it's still bleeding though. So it takes forever to get this health back. Meanwhile, oh, here comes the big army engagement here. What's going to happen? 2 Reavers with the Shuttle here. Very smart. The Reaver's absolutely integral to deal with this late game army. The splash damage, oh so good. It's like tasty chocolate. Okay, so the army in this middle of the map here is just going to continue to float around again. Shuttle's been very anti-aggressive ever since his early game, almost all in off 2 bases. Attack failed, and Miso has allowed himself to establish a pretty good presence on the map. And in fact, he's only just getting this up here. And you think, why didn't he take that a lot earlier? Why did he try and expand to the bottom right? Because it's all about thinking late game. If this oh, the Maelstrom! Oh, this is sick dirty. They can't get under the Dark Swarm. The storms are going down. The Archon's getting a massive damage off. Oh, a bunch of pissed off Ultralists coming out of the Maelstrom though, and they are going to start attacking again. It's really hard to kill these guys. I mean, I am not kidding. This is no joke, but a lot of gas killed off here too, and the Reavers coming in, still alive. And look at the Scourge. Oh, beautiful micro from Shuttle. This is why we're watching a semifinals player play at such a good level in his ASL tournament. So, yeah, guys, credit to Blinderer. He's the one who provided me with this rep. This is absolutely awesome. Leave Archons alone. This Dark Archon did not deserve that plague. So, it's really funny, though. He has 200 health. I mean, absolutely staggering amount. Anyway, what I was trying to say is that, you go for this area first, because if you get in the late game, and your math split and this is mined out, then he can rely on this one, an easily defensible base up here when you get into the stalemate level of the game, where you have the middle and then you have the top. Oh, let's get over here. The red and blue combining together to make some color I can't see. Color blindness, a hard thing. Okay, so the Reavers, how are they doing here? 16 kill Reaver, good God. I mean, Archons, they never get a kill. Poor guy, the Dark Archons never get a kill. Poor guys. But this guy's just balling it up. 21. It's really a battle here. Who's going to have more kills between this Reaver and this Archon? This Lurker only getting 2. This is not easy to defend. The hatchery does go down here. And this is Shuttle's game for the taking, I think. He's finally got this just late game army that is dealing with such monstrous upgrades. 3, 2, 1. As easy as you can count, those upgrades are doing a lot of damage for the Protoss army. Miso sending his units out again, trying to take the Protoss army by force. There's no Defilers, though. It's going to be significantly weakened. You know, another Maelstrom would be good, too, if he could get that off. And those 2 earlier were pretty sick. And he's just going for the defense up here. You know, the cows always travel on a herd. You never see 1 or 2 going off. And when they do, they usually die pretty painfully. Oh, Archon, Archon, Archon. Wow, okay, what a survival there. Maybe that +1 carapace helped him out. Still, we're looking at a 2-base Protoss player. These minerals are going to start to get low. Oh! Wait, no. Have we just stoved? Have we just stoved? What are we talking about, guys? There's a scout out here. It's got +2, +1. This is disgusting. Okay, Shuttle's reached God mode here. Oh, the Zealot's moving out to the right again to deal with this army. The Horde of Ultralists ready to engage one more time. And where's that scout? We need that scout over here. Stat absolutely needs to survive in this game. Look at that! Oh, he's got most of the army here. 2 Archons coming in to clean it all up. This is going to be massive amounts of damage here. Wow, Maelstrom doesn't last long enough, though. It just doesn't. And these guys survived a really long time. Finally, a storm coming in here. 4 blue balls right all in the mix here as the storm does go down. Meanwhile, where is that scout? Anybody see it? Okay, here it is. Really hard to see. And don't say it's because I'm missing eyes. And unless I do a bad job actually showing the replay off. Then it's because I don't have eyes. Oh my goodness, all of them dying off, just massive destruction here. I mean, both the Protoss army, you know, Ire is just crying for shame. And this is just a mess. Guys, this game is going so long, 32 minutes, I need a water break. Look at this damage, 49 damage per swipe. All right. So we continue forward in the carnage here. Oh, where's that Reaver? Dang it, I was hoping to catch the kill count on that Reaver because it's absolutely disgusting at this point here. We're going to see a massive kill count on these. 6 and 6 already. This Overlord is going for some DT hunting here. And might get 1, 2. Oh, but they're still running down here into the south. That Scourge kind of paving the way. Hey, yeah, it's kind of safe to run down here to the right. Where's the Protoss army? There's not much. We're still seeing a 3-base Zerg player versus a 1.5-base Protoss player really at this point. This is a decent army, though. Look at this, the energy getting up here. At least 1 storm per High Templar, so we're looking at 6 storms total that can deal with this army. The Dark Templar were a good idea, but where's the shuttle drops? Where's those attacks? Look at this. There is nothing here guarding this high ground, and he could easily just drop in a Dark Archon and clear it out. A bunch of drones here, kill off this base. It's a huge macro area too. I would love to see Shuttle actually utilize the shuttle. Oh man, am I stuffy, guys? I'm gonna have to blow my nose massively after this cast. It's all working its way up in there. I'm sorry for the disgusting details, but that's the sad story of coming out of sickness here. Everybody at my job place is sick. All right, massive storms coming in for this engagement here. Oh god. You know what? +3 came in like the first 5 minutes, the first 10 minutes of the game, but then the +1 still kind of lame upgrades on the armor portion for these units. I wonder what the math efficiency is on a +3 Zealot versus an Ultralist that has how much damage? 29 damage. So absolutely brutal. The Ultra's running in one more time, trying to get as many kills as they can. This Dark Archon, actually, as many swipes as they can get off, that would be very beneficial. So 11 kills on this this Reaver. It's having a pretty nice day. We need these Scarabs to clear out. Clear out, Scarabs. No, Shuttle does too good of a job of rebuilding those. He is on top of it. He does have that Shuttle there. It's so close to being able to just drop units off into such a good location. Shuttle's got to be trolling this game. He's got it big time. All right. So this has got to be the last of the Ultralists, I believe, in this game. That was a huge plague that went off, and you know what? A suicide plague, really. 11. Ah, we missed it again. Okay. I want to see that Reaver. It's got to have like 30 to 40 kills at this point. This is getting absolutely insane, though, guys. So the Reavers are trying to guard this bottom area. Maybe a sneaky drone is going to be able to get down there. Oh, the plague on that Shuttle, too. Look at that Reaver micro, though. Dropping it down, getting the Scarab out, bringing it back up so quickly, though. He needs to absolutely play with the most proficiency he can. These are going to be really cost-effective as long as he can keep them alive. Units are going to make it up to one of the last final bases that Miso has to actually fuel his economy. This is almost that late game I was talking about, you know. Not everything's completely mined out, though. He's going to try and hold down here. One beautiful storm. That's what we're looking for. Just one beautiful storm. What? Only 14. Maybe he lost the 20+ kill Reaver that I was looking at earlier. But those drones they do go down. The extractor killed off here. The hatchery about to get lost. 88 supply to 159. Looking sick in this game. The Ultralists are still alive, though. Miso not going to give up until he loses this army. You know what I mean? You can honor that, right? This one lurker, though, is here. No, 2 lurkers and a defiler here to defend this drone. I love how there's just 3 zealots randomly running up here in case there was a hatchery to kill off first. You know, he wants to make sure that if Miso's still in this game and why hasn't he GG'd, then clearly there are more buildings that need to get killed off. Yeah, no, I mean, we're really seeing just the long death sequence for Miso at this point. He played a pretty decent game. I think he kind of threw away a lot when he didn't do well with those Guardians. I mean, the fact that he didn't even take out this base completely kind of showed that he didn't deal with that really well. All right, let's forward here. We've got more games to go. This is a long one. No way. How are we still getting through here? That's a lot of Archons. GG. All right, guys, we saved ourselves 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to prepare for the next replay. We're going to take a short little break, just a couple minutes. I promise you that's going to be it. So hang tight, everybody, as I get ready for the next game. I'll be right back. All right, welcome everybody. I am back, and I apologize for the delay there to the microphone. I'm ready now to cast. So right away, we're watching Bisu versus Hyuk, ex-SKT1 teammates here, and the first thing you're going to notice is, hey, what about this map? This is pretty different. We're looking at destination. So now this replay is actually not that old. It's within the past couple years old. But not like Kespa old. So I think that's the really cool thing about this replay is that it's still kind of relevant. But this is around when Hyuk started playing StarCraft 1 a lot more and getting back into it. So let's go ahead and establish the position. So yeah, we're going to have Hyuk here at the top and then Bisu down here at the bottom. Anybody who's not played a map on Destination, it's a 2-player map. There's a lot of weird entrances here, and let's go ahead and just reveal the entire map here. So here's the interesting thing. A player can actually go here and mine out this mineral field, and right away, now you've got another opening into the map. This has been good for like lurkers when you try and sneak them in there. Think like Tayback Mountains, where it's kind of an odd map. There's a lot of backdooriness that you can do. You know, Destination I think is a little bit more balanced than Tayback Mountains, but it's definitely got the same concept of, yeah, we're going to give you some weird pathways into your natural base, into your main base, and you're just going to have to deal with that. Figure out what works for you so you can have some proper openings, and once you get in the mid-game, Destination's a pretty cool map. I think mutas are pretty good on this map, though. I had a friend, and I always tell this story when I watch and cast a Destination match, is I have a friend that kills the Kakaroo that floats around on this map. I believe the Kakaroo should be flying around up here somewhere. But apparently he gets paranoid that when playing against Protoss, the friend his opponent will mind control the Kakaroo and use it as a scout. And since he's not really good, he just kills all neutral units to make sure that his base is not infiltrated unknowingly. That's just the weirdest thing ever. Okay, so guys, we're in game number 2 here, and Bisu, there's a lot of people who talk about Bisu being a dodger because he didn't play in the ASL, but if you look at the past 3 major tournaments, he was in the finals for all 3 of them, winning 1 and placing silver in the other 2. So, you know, he's a pretty solid player, and maybe he just wants a break. You know, we gotta let him chill. There's more reasons to talk about for why Bisu's not participating, but honestly, Bisu's attitude right now is that, hey, he's retired from StarCraft 2. He came back to StarCraft 1 to have fun and just be an entertainer. It's the first time where he can just entertain for money instead of play competitively and have to, you know, work on a sponsor team and put in the hours. But you know, we're really close to having the big sponsor names come back into the full force. KT has their name now on the ASL with the Giga sponsorship, which is really cool. And so there's a lot to take in consideration. So we're watching a PvZ here, guys. It's PvZ Madness Day. And so speaking of, you cannot forge expand on this map. That's what makes it quite unique. So Bisu, he goes for this composition here where what he does is makes it near impossible for Lings to be able to come down this opening and then come down this opening and make it up here. If it's 6 Lings, no way they're getting through. And so that's where Bisu has a pretty solid opening here. And this has been standard for matchups where you're on a map and you can't forge expand properly to defend at the front. Even like we saw in Shuttle's game Gateway Expand, it had a closer narrow choke point, which allowed him to, you know, safely do that pylon Gateway Expand that he went for too. So we're seeing Hyuk though, he's already got himself up to 3 bases. Going to be really important in this one. You do want to kind of keep your bases close. And this is a really hard 3rd base to take for Zerg players. A really wide open ramp, which means that Zealots can run into this pretty easily. And the problem is that the creep doesn't actually sink its way down this ramp here, which means that he can't use buildings across this ramp to be able to block off units. There's no proper Sim City that he can go for to kind of defend these units. I think it's going to be a sunken colony right here, and evolution chamber, and like a sunken colony right here. If we're thinking, what would a Zerg player do at this third base without any knowledge, previous knowledge of how Zerg is played out on this map? Okay, so yep, this rep is 2015 or early 2016. Thank you, Blind Raw, for throwing that out there. I'm pretty sure it was 2015 on the replay timestamp, but oh well. We see that the drones are mining up, trying to get the gas, get the Spire tech. Mutas are signature for Hyuk, so I wouldn't be surprised if he went Scourge first and then actually went into Mutas. So we may see another PvZ where Mutas exist. Meanwhile, Bisu, famous for Corsairs, where's that Stargate tech already on its way? Templar Archives coming up pretty quickly too, so this could definitely be a Sair DT game. I like how he kind of put this Cybernetics core back here too. I guess maybe just kind of adds to the overall eclecticness of this map. Otherwise, you know, you could build a Cybernetics core up here. There's no really point in having it on the low ground except for making it available to Zerglings maybe. So here's what's happening. Instead of, you know, the Evo chamber that I was kind of theorycrafting about, he decided hatchery to kind of clog up this area first. Because Zerg do like to get up to 2 hatcheries per base. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did see another hatchery. Yep, no, right there. And, excuse me, just sitting on 5 hatcheries right now. 5 hatch actually is more standard on Destination anyway. And because it's a smaller map and distances between the 2 bases, as you can see on the mini map, 5 hatch allows you to get units out quicker, so you can be more aggressive. And I think that's really important for Hyuk to go for that 5 hatch tech over 6 hatcheries. Unless, of course, you're Jaedong. Always go 6 hatch if you're Jaedong. Look at this. So instead of this standard 2 Scourge, Hyuk, knowing Bisu's playstyle, is actually going to go for 4 Scourge to try and pick up any Corsairs that he can. But, you know, ho-hum tricks on him because the Corsairs are already out on the map. The Scourge, while they poke their head in, are going to have to run back very quickly. I wonder if Hyuk could have reserved 2 to try and catch these Corsairs as they made it over to this base here. But it's going to be about clearing out these Overlords. We saw that because of the fast Templar Archives, the DTs were going to come out on the map, clearly not getting into that base here. And I feel like he should reserve the DTs so he can go into this third base. So easy to get in here, which is why Scourge are going to be built. That's very important here. Very hard to see on this map tile set, you know, with the dark bottom. It makes the transparent DTs even harder to detect. Oh, wow. Okay, so we're seeing a pretty fast speed tech for these Overlords. What other upgrades are going to be coming on the way? I wonder if drop... You know, everybody likes to take a page out of Yellow's book and go for drop Overlords against Bisu. Because, hey, why not? But the fast Overlords are actually going to pay off really well. It's not going to be drop Overlords quite yet. Instead, what the Overlords are there is to give that necessary detection, knowing that DTs are out on the map. I mean, this is just a huge threat. And this is not that typical +1, you know, speed zealot that you would see. The +1 comes later at the sacrifice, so that you could get the Templar Archives out early and be able to get a few DTs. Now High Templars are going to be able to come into fruition. Going for the Archon over High Templars. You know, what did Bisu see that tells him that he should be going into Archons unless he's trying to go for this timing attack? Once the +1's done, it's actually pretty easy to do some damage at the front. With this small little army here, it's actually going to be extremely potent with the 2 Archons. I love going for this composition. The Zealot heavy, Archons, and then a few Dragoons are really what make a good mix here. This is a solid defense. The Evo chamber here at the left, 2 Sunkens, and a 3rd Sunken, just a really precautionary one, that actually will do some significant defending for Hyuk, sorry, So I wouldn't be surprised if he was able to defend that third base too. Bisu's going to have to knock back and forth though and see where he can actually catch off a weakness. This is a decent move out of units for Hyuk here, and he got all the Lings, Hydras, and Lurkers out on the map. And so this is going to be a big deal for Bisu. If he was able to catch them at the ramp, he would have been able to slow this pressure out here. But no, Hyuk's going for map control, going to be pushing the army down back to the bottom left here, and he's going to have to sink back to what is going to soon be his third base. So Lurker's kind of creepy calling backwards here. Meanwhile, you know, a decent amount of cannons going to be coming in here as the units do retreat to this high ground play here. And Hyuk knows that he pressured about as much as he can without losing any more units. So he's going to have to continue to run away. There's no Overlord out on the map. I imagine that, where is the observer here? Let's take a peek inside this base so we can see that the observatory is finished. 4 gateways inside the main base. No more Corsair production here. I did see that there are 2 gateways at the front. Now here we found that there's this robotics facility is built here. Maybe Bisu just likes the availability of the cannons. And you know, if he built certain tech, look at that range upgrade just now for the Dragoons. But if he built certain tech in this main base and didn't have a proper amount of cannons to defend them, then maybe Mutas could pick off those high-tech buildings. So maybe that's where his thought process is coming from. Just maybe. So a lot of units coming in here for Bisu to attack at this base again. And with the Lurkers mixed in here, I mean, this is just a monstrous defense for Hyuk. Bisu's not going to be able to get inside. What really helps when you establish this third base so well, the way Hyuk did against Bisu here, is he can actually expand back here, get 2 more hatcheries. It is mineral only. You know, it's sad that he doesn't get an extra gas from this base, but he is benefiting from being able to build just a ton of hatcheries very safely here and mine heavily the minerals in the back. All right, so Bisu's kind of retreating to the middle, but he's still, you know, continuing with his death ball map control here. I'm going to need another water break, excuse me. Okay, so water break completed. Now we're looking at the left here, and this is a necessary base for Hyuk. He needs to have that 4th gas. Always be thinking, you know, I'm at the 12-minute mark. This game's been going pretty well. I'm going to have to start hitting late game. My hive tech is finished. I've got a Defiler Mound, Ultralisk Cavern. Can't support this Ultralisk Cavern without that 4th gas. So always establish where your 4th gas is going to be. And he's got to do it across this bridge here. It's a pretty skinny bridge. While there's not a high ground advantage, you know, there's this wildebeest that he could, the Ursidon that he could defend with, on top of a couple Lurkers and some buildings and Sunkens at the front would probably help too. So, just more amassing here for Bisu. Looking at the upgrades, he's still just sitting on +1. That forge should continually be spinning at this point, even if it's just 1 forge. So, yeah, he's got the +2 upgrade that's going to be completing soon. That's going to be very nice for him. But look at all the units that are out here at the middle of the map. And there's a lot of Overlords here to help with the detection, which is exactly what he needs. A decent amount of Lings. Now, let's look at the Dragoon to Ling comparison here. Because what you really need to identify is how many Lings do you actually need to deal with the force of 1 to 2 control groups worth of Dragoons here. But, you know, no amount of Lings are going to be able to deal swiftly with the amount of Zealots that are just floating around here at the bottom right. Bisu has a really nice sized army. He's going for a massive amount of cannons here to establish a 4th base, because he does need to have another gas in this game too. So yeah, he's going to be able to get up to that 4th one. This is insane. Bisu's going completely macro in this game. Hyuk, he's got to know that even if he does nothing but take more and more bases, he's going to lose this game because Bisu has immaculate late game control. So he's got to do some pretty heavy damage now that he's got the necessary bases to start making great high-tech units. Okay, so look at this massive move out from the Zerg units here. Hyuk, he's got all his control groups queued up. He's got the Defilers to come in here with the Dark Swarms, which are going to mitigate the damage of the range of these Dragoons here. And we're going to have to see how many Storms can go down to kind of shrink down the Lings that are coming in here. Just carnage, massive amounts of carnage here as Bisu plays out brilliant storms here to clear out all of the lings, and now he's got a possible amount of storms that can come in here and kill off the drones too. This is just massive amounts of waste coming in here from the Zerg player Hyuk, as Bisu does easily deflect any of the attacks coming from his top left flank. Still, there are a decent amount of units remaining here. Look at the lurkers just kind of floating themselves around. Lings are still coming in here too. I wouldn't be surprised if, yeah, we see the speed upgrade coming along. We got another upgrade coming. Is this the carapace? Is that the float upgrade? Can he put units inside his overlords at that point? Once that upgrade gets finished. Of course, every once in a while I do forget my portraits here. But somehow this exists. This is a thing. And Bisu is not taking it down. Does not want to get on top of the high ground here and get caught in this bottleneck. If a majority of these units are caught up here, even after killing these lurkers, then it's just a swift little kick in the butt from the bottom, and the Zerg units will be able to kill off a decent amount of Protoss units. So Bisu is just being very cautious about here. I'd imagine if he can draw out this link force like he just did, then 7 or 8 zealots maybe just run in here. No. There's way too many lurkers at this point. This is all over the place, guys. Look how many avenues for attacking. You know, the double wide bridges at the middle of the map make for a really fun play on this game. You really have to balance where you're going to move your units out. Bisu doing magical control, though, with how many control groups of units he has right now. I mean, this is pretty, you know, just amazing control for the Protoss player here. So many storms going off, dealing with it again. He's got an observer here to deal with these lurkers pretty swiftly, running to the front, +2, +1. It's a decent army. Hyuk, though, he's got an ace, he's got his wild card, and it's going to be Ultraless. Where are the Ultras going to come from? You know, they need to find a hatchery that's actually pretty easy to, you know, get the Ultras out really quickly. I like this, though. Hyuk is not doing well in the middle of the map, but he's doing really well about taking expansions. And it doesn't matter if he loses a base, because he's just going to keep out expanding the damage that Bisu's doing to take out all of these units. Okay, let's see. Where are the Ultras? The Ultras are in the middle of the map here, coming into the back. We're going to see that they're going to come down on these Archons. They actually kill off Archons pretty quickly. You saw that immediately they got decimated. That poor High Templar, you know, doesn't have a chance in hell to survive. But this one apparently does. Wow. Okay, so it does go down as, you know, a suicide storm. No! No! Wait. That deserved a pause. Oh boy. I'm not answering any of those political questions in the chat at this point. But let's talk about what happens when you run 7 or 8 drones into a massive storm. Good God, that was disgusting. That's not a way to go. So, he lost so many drones. Yeah, you know, and I was just talking about how many bases that he expanded to. He was doing really well, and then that madness happened. So he's probably going to have to re-drone pretty heavy over here. Hyuk trying to hold his own against the great Bisu, though. If anything, at least he still has this hatchery here. And you can see that the Ursidon played its role. In fact, it may end up mating with this Ultralist later. They have been known to do it. Have you ever heard of the hybrid Zerg race? Yeah, that's how it happened, Ursidons. Oh, look at this. Bisu losing his base here at the 9 o'clock position. Will be going down very shortly. That Nexus can't be saved. Where's Bisu's army? 155 supply. So those Ultralists did way too much damage here. And Bisu not really remacroing that well. He's got a decent army here to try and defend against this Zerg attack. Hyuk needs to... Oh my god! Oh my god, Bisu misclicked. Bisu misclicked. He just... Oh... He launched 4 or 5 storms all together on top of the Ultralists here, and that's about the worst overkill possible. You got to do one at a time. You need to have your patience. And if anybody, I know that Bisu probably is kicking himself right now because of how many storms that he went down. Yeah, of course that plague went down too. You know, they look disgusting with all the tumors that are going to grow out of their faces at this point. Okay, here comes another engagement here, and we've seen how well that that Hyuk's been playing now that the Ultralists are out on the field again. The Dark Templar actually aren't getting a lot of swipe in here, but they have 49 damage per hit. Unfortunately, the Overlord does come in here and everything gets cleaned up once more time. Is Hyuk going to do it? I mean, he can only win this game versus Bisu if it's not a televised match, because he doesn't play to his capacity on televised matches. He is a much better online player, and it's really unfortunate because he's one of the great Zergs that just never got to flourish when it came to actually you know, having to hit the player booth. Okay, so this is just a cluster of units here trying to make it up to the top, trying to get at this Nexus too. Look at that, Hyuk is actually trying to get his Ultras. He's microing them around. Even the Vespene guys are here as he engages. Oh! Oh! As much as we've seen Storms, you know, go backwards, we're seeing 3 Plagues go down on these Ultralists. Look at that, 3 health remaining. Now 4 because Ultralists have Imba regen here, and so that's going to continue to come back. 2 health on that one. So is it... Oh, look at that. Are you... Okay. Are you watching what I'm watching? Please be watching this health. So, he just out... Oh, there, it finally dies. The Ultralists out-healed the Plague with those massive upgrades. That was disgusting. Okay, so this is just a huge concave around these Zealots. No way that the Zealots are going to survive. And Bisu's going to be in trouble at this base. He's going to have trouble holding, but there's a considerable amount of cannons doing no damage under these Dark Swarms. As much as I love to see Ultralists, though, Zerglings would be way more effective against these cannons. Hyuk is going to have to send loads of them. What he does have is, you know, a huge mineral bank that he will be able to send. Well, he actually doesn't, you know, just 1,200 or so. He is sending in the Lings, though, to try and clean up everything. A huge amount of storms again with that many units under it. So I feel like Bisu's just spamming the T button because that's what he does, you know? Meanwhile, okay, no more minerals here, just a depleted geyser. He's about to run out of minerals here. Not doing so healthy here. He has to hold on to this base, which is doing okay. It's got a healthy amount. And then this is his really fresh base here. So this is what's keeping Bisu in the game. He's running off about 2.5 bases worth of minerals and a decent bank to top it off. But he's fighting at a disadvantage. His army count is a little bit lower. He's not making quite the best trades here, although those storms were finally pretty decent on top of those Ultralists. Look at the swarms of Overlords coming in here too. You know, there's nothing to pick them off. There's no Corsairs at this point in the game. Bisu's completely given up on this Stargate here. We're not going to see a scout like we saw in the Shuttle game, unfortunately. And this is just going to continue. Hyuk taking this base right here was like the bold play of the game. I feel like he took it at a time where Bisu should have easily crushed it. But Bisu was very indecisive and was unable to take it. Meanwhile, they cancel on the pylon, unable to take this base anymore. And now we're seeing the fearless Rhinodon mixed into this army. Now, Rhinodons are pretty good luck. If you've got one in your base, you know that that there's good fortune coming towards you. There's a lot of lore behind these neutral animals. I don't know if you guys realize how integral critical critters have been throughout StarCraft history. Of course, this was a pretty insignificant critter. Kind of sealed itself into the ground itself. Yeah. This Dark Templar not going to be able to get up inside there. In fact, there's 2 Overlords here. So yeah, the DTs have been completely useless this entire game. What we've seen from Bisu is what we saw from Shuttle, is a lack of Shuttle play until we saw the late game Reavers here. And I would love to see Shuttle play. Because, you know, if he can get a few units back here, there's nothing to defend. You know, just drop a couple Zealots or something to kill off these hatcheries and do a massive distraction. Oh, now we are going to see Reavers. Just as I say that, I love it. I love it. So 2 Reavers are going to come out. I'm guessing that we're going to see fast speed shuttles coming from here in just a second as they do load up. So this is going to be the unit of the game right now that we're going to want to watch. I love that the Reaver gets stuck here, so even if it does come out, that stupid fat slug is not going to be able to crawl anywhere. This is the slowest. Oh! Oh, we missed it. We missed the Scorpion. Oh, don't get me started on that Scorpion. Okay, so here comes the huge engagement for Bisu again. He does have +2, +2, +3, so his late game army is actually really strong in the upgrade category. Huge scarabs are coming down too to rain hell on these Ultralists. As strong as they were before, they're going to be going down to these Zealots. A nice surround by these Zealots as Bisu continues to move forward. He's left his Reavers behind. He's left them behind. Come back. Oh no! The Ultralists, if they target down these Reavers too, with the Shuttle there, if a single Reaver dies, this will be really embarrassing for Bisu. He does pick him up. We've seen Bisu micro like 5 shuttles at 5 different locations on the match point. And so if Bisu is unable to micro 1 shuttle, then clearly this is a sick day that Hyuk has found him on. But the army gets cleaned up again. 138 supply and lowering at this point in the game. One Reaver does finally go down. A quick swipe from the Ultralist to clear that up. And Bisu is going to have to bring the shuttle back even further. Guys, this game is absolute chaos. Absolutely. Hyuk is in such a good position to win this game. You know, I hate to say it, but Bisu not doing too well. Even this one Zealot here, just kind of rogue, not even paying attention to the Protoss mind. And let's take a look around these maps, see if we can identify anything else. So we do see the Queen's Nest on the field, going to contribute nothing. The Fortunate Kakaroo that does fly around here. No Greater Spire, so we're not going to see Guardians like we did in the last game. But oh, we did miss a Gosu Reaver drop. I apologize. I thought maybe, just maybe, we had a split second. Meanwhile, okay, let's look over here. Look, the probes! The probes are out on the map. I guess Bisu's just trying to get rid of a few here. This one will eventually die too. You know, freeing up that supply, because clearly he was supply blocked, sitting at 140. Yeah, this isn't good. A lot of Zerglings are going to be moving in here, and it looks like Bisu should lose this base relatively quickly. I think we're at the end of this game here, too. I would hate to fast forward and then see Bisu come around and win this game, but Hyuk played a beautiful, beautiful, wonderful PvZ here. More disgusting plagues. Well, I actually don't know if Bisu wins the Bisu versus Savior match, which is going to be next. But let's go ahead and fast forward, because I don't think that we're going to see anything else out of him in this game. Oh, the Reaver just not even getting to see some action here. Looks like Zerg's going to break the final base that Bisu has. Time 16! GG. All right. Zergimba. Let's establish that. There's gonna be a quick turnaround between this game and the next one, guys. Hang tight. I promise you, we're gonna be in this next game in just a quick jiffy. Want to take a water break and then we'll be good to go. All right. Cue the music. Whoa, 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 guys. Don't get upset about the Savior game. This is an old replay. This is like before the match fixing replay. So don't worry. Don't worry. It's cool. Okay, guys, I'm aware that a few hairs have raised on your shoulders, your back, wherever you have hair. But trust me, it's cool. I think that it's really important that we see games from players that had a pretty significant, a pretty significant impact on the scene here. And oh, I'm sorry, I'm messing around with the wrong thing here. Anyway, so. Watching Bisu versus Savior, I think it's just a really cool thing to see some history here. And while the match fixing did occur, we can't pretend that, what he did to the game didn't exist. Because he totally changed the way Zerg played. So that way they could dominate against, Terran and Protoss. And I think we all agree that we don't support what he did. But we're still going to watch a Bisu versus Savior game, okay? Let me just give the quick update on Twitch. On Team Liquid. That the last game is over. And then we will move forward. This is probably the first Savior game most of you guys have watched in a really long time, too. The last Savior game that I casted was the Ever 2000 OSL, I believe, way back then. So obviously, again, pre-match fixing. But I love your passion, guys. I love that you find this controversial. Oh yeah! And guys, guess what? We're on Blue Storm. Oh, Bisu fans, I know this is your favorite map. Absolutely hilarious. I do appreciate all your comments in the chat, whether they're good or bad, or you suddenly feel like you're against me because of this. But you know what? I like to cast everything, and this is what's gonna happen here. 2 weeks ago I was drunk on my stream, so I could be possibly drinking heavily again. Maybe we'll just blame that. So down here at the bottom left, we're gonna have Savior, our Zerg player. And then at the top right, we will have Bisu of the Protoss player. Again, if you're just coming in, this is an old map played against these players, or matchup played against these players here. And it will be on Blue Storm. The Protoss sending his probe out already. Meanwhile, dropping down this pylon. So Blue Storm's a really interesting map in the sense for PvZ again. You don't have a standard Forge expand that you could go for here. So what players like to do is, Cannon, Forge, and then, Gateway, Forge, between this space here, and then put Cannon scattered around. And guys, don't forget that this is also a PvZ day where we're talking and exploring the different PvZs. And so look at it in that context, as we're really trying to see a lot of the good ZVP play that happened throughout history. We watched current one, we watched one that was a year ago, and now we're just going a couple years past too. So that always makes it fun. The hatchery coming down here too for Savior, who's deciding that he can't establish a hatchery here because this probe here is just blocking it far too well. And at this point, I'm going to stop discussing whether it's controversial to cast this game or not, and let my mod Blind Rar, deal with any of you guys who feel like you need to say something else. Okay, so this probe's going to do around for Bisu. Meanwhile, look at what we have here. So a very fast Nexus followed up with a Gateway. So Bisu's going super greedy here. This isn't something you see often, and you probably would hardly ever see it on this map, except for, Bisu's basing his play off what Savior did. He sent out the probe early, and recognized that Savior did not actually build a spawning pool first. He went for this 12 hatch. And when you go for 12 hatch, it opens up the, you know, the later link possibility, which means that a gateway first and a nexus first are absolutely probable and allow you to get that faster economy. Bisu already actually getting up to an assimilator too. He really wants to get to that mid-game tech, be able to get those Corsairs out. Maybe ranged Dragoons if he's going for a mid-game, you know, or 2-base all-in. Right now, it's 3 hatcheries for Savior. He's looking strong, and he's sent out a few drones over here to mine 2 out at that base. The gas finally coming in here too. You want to get that gas finished up because lair tech is very, very important for the Zerg player. To be able to get the Spire is practically integral, except for if you've been watching ZVPs in the ASL, which I've been loving the ASL ZVPs, and the thing is that Zerg players have been skipping going for like Spire type play and going for Hydra builds, and that's not just ZVP, that's ZVT too, where we've seen mutos not being used and more Hydra style. Actually, it's definitely been ZVT on Overwatch if you guys missed those games. So that Flash versus Zero was such a nail biter. You know, Zero not advancing, it really sucked because he got a tough group. And then of course, if you guys missed it, Flash getting eliminated by last. I was really happy to be the only one to call a 3-0 you know, defeat for Flash. Not that I want Flash to be out of the tournament, but just the fact that I called it correctly really made me feel proud. Okay, so on Hydra Den coming out here, and this is questionable. So Savior is building his tech building out on the map here. You know, losing this Hydra Den could be pretty significant. It's not quite as significant as losing a spawning pool, but still, you know, you like to see the Hydra Den more built at the natural base, where you have basically a 2-level defense to help keep the Hydra Den alive. And generally, it's not like a front tanking building like an evolution chamber or an additional hatchery would be. The second gas coming up right away too makes me think that this, you know, it could be a muta build. Except for the lair's coming so late, or not the lair, the Spire's coming so late. Only just now is it coming up. Okay, let's go ahead and look at what Bisu has again. He's got the Cybernetics core. He's had the second gas for a little bit now too. He's got Corsairs on the way. You can actually hear them. That cannon just deflecting some Zerglings that are trying to get inside the space, and the High Templar, and the Templar Archives on its way too. Meanwhile, so there's not a lot to defend against air out on this map. The Hydras are going to have to be built, and he's going for range Hydraless first to help deal with those Corsairs. Obviously, speed allows you to move those Hydras very quickly, but that range on the Hydraless allows you to get the Corsairs that might sit on the ledge here and be a little pesky against the Overlords. So being able to put those in just a pretty solid position really helps out. Meanwhile, the Spire 3/4 of the way done. Let's look around here. The Corsairs, only 1 kill for the Corsairs so far. I believe it was just a simple Overlord pickoff, and that's pretty standard here. Both players working their way up on their food count. 43 for Savior, 54 for Bisu. As we start to get towards the early part of this mid-game, it takes about 6.5 minutes to go for a solid 6-hatch build. But after that 6.5 minute mark, if you were going 6-hatch Hydra, you can start sending all your Hydras and macro up really hard. But we're actually only seeing 4 hatcheries. So this is pre Jaedong era, where actually 5 and 6 hatcheries was the standard. So Savior going for 4 here is actually a relatively reasonable expectation for him at this point in the game. But still, are we going to see any mutos come out of it, or is it just going to be that Spire for the Scourge, you know, at some point in the game? This is after the MSL finals also, so he already knows that Sair DT is something that he's lost to 3 times against Bisu, and lost a significant medal with that defeat. Okay, the Hydralists are making their way across here though, and eventually that speed upgrade is going to kick in. The speed upgrade getting so close to done, a range already completed, and this is going to be really hard for Bisu to hold. He's actually looking to make this DT a critical hold unit. And so where is the Overlord coming across? Speed is timed out with this perfectly. And there's several Overlords already there, which means that this Dark Templar is not actually going to be able to do significant defending here. He's going to actually have to sacrifice it at the front. It really sucks. It sucked up a few hits here, but Bisu not able to get many hits off on these Hydralisks. And, you know, with the high ground advantage here, too, Savior is going to be able to micro back and do a lot of damage. It was a forced High Templar merge, too, into this Archon, which means that those Storms aren't going to be able to come at the timing that Bisu would have liked. And if we look at in here, Storm's actually only halfway done. I felt like the Storm upgrade came a little late, so he was forced to make that Archon instead of camping out on energy. Okay, so this engagement here, of course, doing well for Savior against Bisu, but Bisu actually starting to clear things out. That +1 upgrade doing really well. The swipes of the Archon way too strong here, and the Hydralisk force somehow has been dwindled down pretty decently. Oh, the Archon was a critical unit there. When it goes down, you know, there's not much to easily defend against these Hydralisks. Now the Hydralisks, they have range. They can pretty much from this location here hit the Nexus. So that's what Savior is going to constantly do, is bounce back and forth, try to hit this Nexus here. Because the cannons aren't really within range if there's a sweet spot. The Storm, the first Storm does go down. You can see that it drained out all the energy that was remaining on the High Templar though. Zealots with speed now too. +1 Zealots going to be running in here. Flank with the Hydralisk. Bisu's going to have to constantly macro backwards here. Meanwhile, if we look at it, you know, Bisu can't do anything else but try and defend. And that Nexus goes down. It is down for the count. And now it's just a bunch of worthless cannons here. Now, Bisu's going to try and hold still. He knows how significant it is for him to get this third Nexus. But the problem is, I hate that he's defending this third instead of a third that has gas. He's literally trying to defend a mineral only down a ramp, which is where Blue Storm is really hard for a Foothouse player in PvZ. Yeah, Bisu is going to defend here, maybe infinitely just because he has a decent amount of cannons, and so he can just hold any mid-game unit. You know, the Hydralisks just aren't going to be enough to break through, and it's going to require, you know, putting Zerg into the Hive Tech for him to be able to actually thoroughly break down this wall. Of course, unless he could starve out Bisu before that point too. But Savior's playing really sluggish as a Zerg player. In a typical ZVP, you would have expected someone like Zero or Effort to already have Hive Tech and not be just sitting on Lair. You would have expected maybe a few more hatcheries too. Are you kidding? The fact that we're only seeing 5 hatcheries still at this point in the game, a 6th one coming up, and not even thinking about a 4th base, shows actually how slow Savior is as a Zerg player at this point in his career, versus the up-and-coming Zergs are hyper aggressive at expanding, at getting additional hatcheries, at pushing out that larva count. So there's just such a significant difference. Bisu, it is almost commendable how well he's evolved with the meta shift from you know, a little bit more of a passive Zerg player of Savior, who's not like quite, you know, getting himself to a faster late game. But Bisu has been able to deal with all shades of Zerg opponents. Okay, so looking back inside this base again, let's see how many gateways we're getting up to. 5 gateways so far. I mean, that's a decent amount. 1 at the front. Maybe if he could have added another to the front, that would be great. You really want 7 or 8 gateways by the time you're getting up this 3rd base and, you know, mining from it. Eventually this Nexus does go down though, and I think Bisu has a sizable force here for the mid game. A huge amount of Zealots are going to be the bulk of this army here, as he has 13 and 5 High Templars. So a decent amount of Storms have been adding up too, and now it's coming into a Lurker Muta play. So this is kind of an odd combination, but we see this from Effort a lot, where these Mutas are specifically for picking off the High Templar. Oh, Bisu is going to lose some significant High Templar there. 3 of his 5 High Templars die right off the bat. and it's only 3 mutas. So this isn't a huge commitment to them. They're just there to pick off the storm units. Meanwhile, the lurkers did a great job too, and Bisu's lacking an observer with his army. So this is also going to be pretty significant as he tries to push over here and take out this upper left hatchery. Alright, so the lings are going to be going down. The hatchery looks like it should die out very shortly here. So where is, you know, another forge is coming up. The observatory is done. Okay, here we are. The robotics facility. I need to check my memory bank a little bit faster here. The observer coming down to the bottom right at least. Doesn't want to allow storms over there. He does need to get an observer over here though, because these lurkers are pretty significant. Going to be able to clean these units up, and Bisu needs to move these zealots, High Templar down out of the way. In fact, if he can rush these units down, you know, it's not a far cry to be able to get a High Templar here and storm right over this ridge. That would be ideal, but there's no way this High Templar is getting anywhere out of there because they are slow. I mean, they are sluggish. Imagine if you could get a speed upgrade for a High Templar. I think that would be really nice. But nope. We're going to have more Hydras going down at this base here, and Bisu's actually now pounding down at the upgrades. This is huge. If Bisu can take down these 2 evolution chambers, he's going to be stopping a plus, you know, an additional carapace and attack upgrade. What are we sitting at? 1-1. So he's going to prevent 2-2 from finishing up for these the Zerg here. And Savior is going to have to try and hold on to this. Meanwhile, there's units out in the middle of the map here getting ready for a fun engagement. Storm moving up. You can see that there's 3 observers with the army this time. And Bisu has finally taken a gas down here at the bottom right too. Or I'm sorry, the central of the map. And we'll be able to get this gas here. Meanwhile, Savior has a base up here. So it's kind of like this weird map split, like a skew, like slight diagonal here to kind of split up the map, which means that Bisu will be reserving this final gas base down at the bottom right, which I will stand by. If he can defend here and he can defend here, then it's going to be really easy for him to take the 4th base over here. These zealots took out all of the Evo chambers. That is disgusting. Savior not playing this game really well at all, and Bisu is just getting critical damage. What are these units doing? This is just really uncanny. The way he's playing, when you watch even Miso from the last game, a much more capable Zerg player, being able to just kind of constantly macro and deal with much going on the map. Oh, someone thinks this replay is bugged. Okay, that would make sense. I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, like, we're still seeing the armies here, kind of. Oh, Bisu storming himself. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Can we just say that the Savior was not as good as we remember, and that Bisu just wrecked him? Yeah, that's it. Zerg is still kind of doing stuff. I don't know. I mean, like, no way Savior leaves 2 lurkers up here at the top. That's too unfortunate. I'll see if I can get this one removed from the database. Okay, well, guys, I've gone about 40 minutes over the time that I was going to cast today, so I'm sorry that this one didn't turn out. I really appreciate you guys watching this with me. I'm exhausted. I've been sick for 2 weeks, so my voice is near dead at this point too. Come and watch me at the ASL. I see 85 viewers here. Please find my Africa stream, because that would be really, really beneficial if you guys are able to go there and make my spirits feel uplifted. I know that the GSL stream is very enticing because there's 5,000 or 6,000 people watching it, and I don't know why. You guys may want to just deal with SC2 fans and watch it there. But I will be casting again this Sunday, and definitely really want you guys to be out there with me for the Africa Star League if you can. Thank you for watching another Thursday cast. I am BisuDagger. Find me on Twitter if you'd like to tweet me there, or chat with me on Team Liquid if you have any comments, and take care. Cue the music.